The softest stories of heaven often begin with the quietest moments on earth. And sometimes, the most powerful work God does in a person's life begins with the tears no one else sees. There comes a time in life when tears fall for reasons too deep to explain, when memories return at night and you whisper God alone, when a house feels too silent and the heart feels too full. But in these tender moments, something holy is happening. Your tears are not signs of weakness, but signs of love, signs of endurance, signs of years lived faithfully. And while the world may overlook them, God never does. He bends low to notice. He draws near to comfort. He treasures each drop because each one carries a story only heaven fully understands. For those walking through the later years of life, years filled with wisdom but also with aches, years rich with memories but also with missing pieces, there's a truth that brings rest. God collects every tear you've ever cried. Not one is wasted. Not one disappears. And the one who keeps them is the same one who promises that one day he will wipe them all away. This is a gentle, powerful work of God in the life of the elderly. He does not ignore your tears. He honors them. Chapter 1 begins in a slow, peaceful pace. Many people do not understand how deeply life can be felt in old age. The world assumes that time dulls the heart. That age makes one less emotional, less affected, less tender. But those who have walked far with God know the opposite is true. The heart does not grow harder with time. It grows more aware. It feels more because it has lived more. The tears you cry now come from a deeper place than the tears you cried in youth. They come from years of love, years of loss, years of learning what truly matters. They come from prayers that have stretched across decades, from friendships that shape your life, from family moments that still echo in your memory. When a quiet tear rolls down your face, it carries the weight of 1,000 stories, and that is why God does not let it fall unnoticed. When the nights grow long and you sit in a chair thinking about those who have come and gone, about the seasons that shaped your journey, about the people whose voices you still hear in your heart, you may feel a tear rise without warning. It may come from longing or gratitude or a mixture of both. And in that moment, God is not distant. He is closer than your breath, gently receiving what the heart can no longer hold inside. The older we grow, the more precious our tears become, because they are not signs of despair but evidence of tenderness. They show that the heart has not grown cold. They show that even after all these years, you still care deeply, you still love deeply, you still believe deeply. And God honors that. He watches over you as carefully as a parent watches a sleeping child. He knows the memories that move you. He understands the weight you carry. Memories of loved ones who stepped into eternity. Memories of days when life felt different. Memories of times when health was stronger and responsibilities heavier. And when those memories stir your emotions, He receives every tear as worship. Even the tears shed in frustration or loneliness are precious to Him, because they remind Him of your journey, your faithfulness, your perseverance. There is something beautiful about reaching old age with the ability to still feel deeply. It means the world has not hardened you. It means God has kept your heart soft. And a soft heart is a sacred thing. So when tears come, do not be ashamed. Do not think of them as weakness. Think of them as your soul speaking. Think of them as prayers without words. Think of them as the stories you offer back to God, the same God who's walked with you from the very beginning. As life continues, Chapter 2 unfolds with an even gentler pace. Many elderly believers carry a quiet question inside. Why does God allow me to feel such deep emotion in these years? Why do tears still come so easily when the world expects strength or silence? The answer is simple yet comforting. God allows these emotions because He is not finished with your heart. Even now, in the later seasons of life, He is shaping something inside you that becomes more beautiful with time. The tears you cried today water the soil of your soul, helping it grow softer, kinder, more connected to heaven. There are moments when you sit alone and feel something rise inside, a memory of someone you miss, a prayer you prayed years ago that still feels unanswered, a moment from childhood that still feels fresh, or a scene from the past that shaped who you became. These moments can bring tears that feel surprising, but God knows exactly why they come. He sees beyond the emotion to the meaning behind it, and He comes closer, not to stop the tears, but to hold them. For as long as you live, your tears matter. There is no age at which God stops caring about your sorrows or your joys. There is no season in which he becomes distant from your grief. Instead, he draws nearer in these later years because he knows the weight you carry is not the same as before. Earlier in life, tears often came from the intensity of the moment, but now they come from reflection, from wisdom, from memories that only someone who has lived long can understand. Many older believers feel tears rise when they look at family photos, when they hear songs from decades past, when they recall the kindness of someone who is no longer here, or when they think of prayers they have prayed for their children and grandchildren. These tears are not mistakes. They are markers of a heart shaped by God. And in those moments, he gently reminds you that he has not forgotten a single prayer you prayed. He has not missed a single moment of your journey. He has not ignored a single tear. Every time you cried in silence, he was there. Every time you whispered his name because you didn't know what else to say, he heard you. Every time the room felt too quiet, he sat beside you. God never distances himself from the elderly. In fact, he draws closer because he knows how sacred these years are. He knows these are the years when heaven feels nearer, when wisdom is deeper, when life is quieter but more meaningful. And so he takes every tear and stores it, not because he needs the evidence, but because he cherishes your story. He treasures every moment you live with faith. He honors every step you took with courage. He sees your journey as a testimony of his goodness, and your tears become part of that testimony. They show that you live with love, that you care deeply, that your heart remained tender. And a tender heart is one of God's greatest works. Even now, he is shaping you into someone who reflects his gentleness more clearly than ever before. Chapter 3 moves into a place of deep peace. There comes a time in life when the greatest comfort we receive from God is not through answers, but through presence. And for many elderly believers, his presence becomes the greatest gift of all. When your tears fall, they fall into his hands. When your heart aches, it aches within his embrace. When your mind wonders about the future, he whispers peace. You may not always notice the way he comforts you, but he does. Sometimes his comfort comes in the quiet strength you feel when you wake up in the morning. Sometimes it comes in a memory that brings a smile instead of sadness. Sometimes it comes in the unexpected phone call from someone who cares. And sometimes it comes in that gentle sense of peace that settles in your heart for reasons you cannot explain. You may look back on your life and feel tears rise from gratitude. You may think of the moments when God rescued you, guided you, held you, corrected you, or carried you. And those tears are precious to him. They are the tears of someone who has walked long with God and discovered that he is faithful. There may also be moments when you cry because you miss someone deeply. Someone who once filled your days with laughter or companionship. Someone who shaped you, supported you, or simply made life brighter. And in those moments, your tears fall into the hands of God who understands loss far more than we realize. He holds your grief tenderly. He whispers comfort into the places no words can reach. And he reminds you gently that your story is still unfolding, that he is not done writing goodness into your days. Even if your strength is not what it used to be, even if your steps have slowed, even if the world moves faster than you can keep up with, God sees you. He honors you. He values every emotion you feel. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are deeply loved by the one who has kept you all these years. And your tears are part of that love story. One day, he will wipe every tear from your eyes. One day, every sorrow will make sense. One day, you will stand in his presence with a heart so full of joy that tears will never fall again. But until that day, he keeps every tear you cry. Not one falls to the ground unnoticed. Not one disappears. Not one is wasted. They are carried into eternity by the God who treasures you more than you will ever fully understand. As the story continues, something quiet begins to unfold inside the heart. Something almost too gentle to notice at first. It is a growing awareness that God has been nearer to your tears throughout your life than you ever realized. You begin to see how he was present in your younger years when tears came from exhaustion, when life demanded more than your heart felt capable of giving. You begin to remember the way he comforted you in seasons when tears came from fear, from uncertainty, from praying for tomorrow, without knowing how it would unfold. And now, in these later years, as your tears come more often from reflection and memory, from gratitude and longing, you begin to understand how faithfully he has held them all. Each tear has been part of your relationship with him, part of your conversations with him, part of the story you have lived with him. And as you grow older, these memories settle in you like a gentle light, illuminating the truth that God has always been far kinder than you once believed. There is a beauty in the tears of someone who has lived long enough to know the value of every moment. These tears carry stories of love that lasted through seasons of difficulty, stories of prayers that stretched across years, stories of courage that pushed through the hardest days. When you look back now, you see moments that once broke your heart, moments that shaped you, moments that taught you to lean on God more deeply. You begin to understand that nothing in your journey was wasted. Not the struggles, not the joys, not the moments when you felt alone, and certainly not the tears. They were the language of the soul. They were the whispered prayers of your spirit. They were the evidence of a heart that refused to stop believing. And God valued them because they revealed how deeply you trusted him even when the road was unclear. As you continue to reflect, you may think about the people you have loved across the years. Some you raised, some you walked beside, some you prayed for with every season of their lives, and some you miss in ways that words can never express. When their faces come to mind, your eyes may grow moist again, not because you are weak, but because your love has always been real. Your heart has never been a shallow place. It has always been deep, capable of holding more love than most realize. And God delights in that. He designed you to feel deeply, to love strongly, to care fiercely. Those tears that come from love are some of the purest tears a person can cry, and he gathers them gently, holding them like treasures. He never brushes them aside. He never tells you to be stronger. Instead, he reminds you that love, true love, always leaves a mark, and the tears you shed because of love are holy. There are also moments when tears rise unexpectedly, not from sadness but from beauty. A memory may return of a time when you laughed until your sides hurt, or when your children were young, or when someone said something so kind that it stayed with you for decades. You may think about the times when God surprised you with blessings you did not expect, or delivered you from troubles you thought might overwhelm you, or opened a new chapter when you thought the story was closing. These tears, the tears of gratitude, are some of the sweetest tears you will ever cry, and God cherishes them because they show that you recognize his hand in your story. They show that even after all these years, your heart remains soft, receptive, thankful. And a thankful heart is one of the most beautiful gifts a person can offer God. As the journey continues, you may find yourself noticing your tears in a new way, not as interruptions, not as signs of age, but as reminders of God's presence. When tears fall because you miss someone, they remind you that love lives on. When tears fall because you remember something painful, they remind you that you survived with God's help. When tears fall because you sense God's nearness, they remind you that heaven is closer now than ever before. And when tears fall because you feel overwhelmed by gratitude for all God has done in your life, they remind you that your story is rich with his goodness. You begin to understand that your tears are part of your worship. They are part of your testimony. They are part of your connection with God. And he welcomes them, every single one. There may be nights when you sit quietly, looking out a window, watching the sky turn from sunset to dusk. Those moments have a way of opening the heart. Something about the stillness, something about the fading light, invites memories to rise. You may think about childhood moments that shaped your values, about mentors who believed in you, about decisions that changed your life, about times when you laughed freely and times when you cried deeply. And in these reflections, your eyes may shine with emotion. You may feel the tender weight of years. And in that moment, God sits beside you, not to stop your tears, but to share them with you. His presence turns your quiet tears into a sacred meeting place. You do not have to speak. You do not have to explain. He understands every emotion without a single word. He simply stays with you, holding your heart with gentleness, reminding you that you are loved beyond measure. As you think about the future, You may feel a mixture of peace and wonder. The future looks different now than it once did. It feels softer. It feels quieter. It feels more precious. You may not run as you once did, but your spirit can soar in ways it never could in earlier years. You may not carry the responsibilities you once carried, but your prayers now carry more weight in heaven than ever before. You may not feel as physically strong, but your heart is stronger in the things that matter: faith, wisdom, patience, compassion. And all these qualities have been shaped through tears. Tears teach the soul how to trust. Tears teach the heart how to surrender. Tears teach the spirit how to rest. God has used every tear to shape you into someone who reflects his gentleness and his strength. There is something remarkable about reaching the stage of life with a heart still open, still soft, still capable of emotion. Many people grow older and close their hearts out of self-protection. But you have allowed life to shape you without hardening you. You have allowed time to teach you without making you bitter. You have allowed God to walk with you through seasons that tested your faith, and your tears show that your faith endured. They are a reminder that you lived fully, loved deeply, and trusted God even when you did not understand his ways. And now, God honors that tender heart. He treats your tears with the respect they deserve. He keeps them not because he needs to remember, but because he wants you to know how deeply he cares. In these moments of quiet reflection, you may sense something gentle rising inside you, a deeper peace, a deeper rest, a deeper awareness of God's love. You may find that your tears no longer feel heavy. Instead, they feel like release. They feel like healing. They feel like soul whispers rising to a God who receives them with kindness. And as they fall, his presence surrounds you like a warm blanket, reminding you that you are safe, you are held, and you are never alone. And as this deeper peace begins to settle in your heart, you may notice something else, something quiet but undeniable. You may begin to sense that God has been preparing you for this season long before you reached it. He knew the journey your heart would take. He knew the memories that would stay with you, the people you would miss, the prayers you would continue to whisper. He knew the moments when tears would come unexpectedly, rising from places you thought had settled long ago. And through it all, he planned to meet you here, right in this tender place, with a love more gentle than anything you have ever known. There is a sweetness in knowing that God understands you completely, not partially, not vaguely, not from a distance, but fully. He knows why your heart still aches over certain moments. He knows why certain memories bring tears the moment they surface. He knows the depth behind every emotion you carry, because he has walked with you since the first breath you ever drew. And now, in these later years, when emotions often run deeper and quieter, he meets you with a comfort that feels like home. You do not need to explain yourself to him. You do not need to hide your tears. You do not need to pretend to be stronger than you feel. You can simply be yourself, soft, tender, vulnerable, and he receives you exactly as you are. As the days pass, you may begin to notice how God's peace begins filling spaces that once felt heavy. The same things that used to bring sorrow begin to bring warmth. The memories that once felt painful begin to carry gratitude. The people you miss become reminders of love rather than reminders of loss. And your tears, instead of weighing you down, begin to act like gentle streams that wash your heart clean. They do not drain you. They renew you. They do not weaken you. They soften you. They do not separate you from God. They draw you closer to him. This is the kind of peace that only comes with age, with experience, with a lifetime of walking with God through valleys and sunlight, through laughter and heartbreak, through seasons of strength and seasons of silence. There is something sacred about reaching a point in life when tears become prayers without words. You may sit in your chair, feeling a tear slip down your cheek, and you may not even know what to say. But God understands the message behind that tear better than you understand it yourself. He knows what you're remembering. He knows what you're longing for. He knows the emotions rising within you. Hope, sadness, gratitude, wonder, all woven together. And he holds that single tear as if it were a precious jewel, honoring the story behind it, honoring the person behind it, honoring the faith behind it. You may begin to realize that tears themselves are a gift. They soften the heart. They cleanse the soul. They remind you that you are still alive, still feeling, still connected to the deepest parts of yourself. And God never despises your tears. In fact, He welcomes them. He created them. He uses them to draw you closer to His heart. Every tear becomes a bridge between your spirit and His presence. Every tear speaks a language that heaven understands perfectly. You may find moments when tears come simply because you feel God's presence so strongly. Perhaps while you sit quietly in the early morning light. Perhaps while you read a familiar scripture. Perhaps while you think about the ways God has carried you across the years. Perhaps while you remember a time when He answered a prayer you whispered decades ago. These tears come not from pain, but from awe, from realizing how faithfully God has walked with you, even when you didn't always see it. These tears become songs your soul sings without sound. And in these moments, you may begin to sense something extraordinary, that God is not only gathering your tears, He is healing what caused them. He is touching places inside you that you thought might never fully mend. He is restoring peace to memories that once felt heavy. He is lifting burdens that you carried quietly for years. He is turning sorrow into depth, turning loss into compassion, turning experiences into wisdom. Slowly, gently, lovingly, He is shaping you into someone who shines with His tenderness. Your tears have never been signs of weakness. They've been signs of a heart that lived and loved deeply. A heart shaped by real moments, real relationships, real challenges, real joys. A heart shaped by God's presence, God's mercy, God's patience. And now, as you move into this softer season of life, your heart is shining in ways it never could have in youth. It is wiser, it is gentler, it is deeper, and God delights in that. Even now, He whispers to your spirit that you are loved, that you are safe, that you are held. He whispers that He sees every tear, every memory, every fear, every hope. He whispers that you are never alone, not for a moment. And as His presence surrounds you like warm light, you begin to feel that truth not just in your mind but in your bones, in your breath, in your heartbeat.